I'm such a spaz today. The reason that I prefer to do a cream contour, if I'm going to contour at all, is because it's a little bit more skin-like looking, because you're working creams into your skin and then setting them with fine powder as opposed to building powder on top of powder. But again, whatever is your preference. So the best thing to use is some kind of darker color that's around about the same undertone as your foundation. So my foundation is warm. By the way, I'm using a different foundation today. Shock and horror. I'm actually using the Color Stay Whipped, and this is in the color Natural Tan. Okay, that was a little aside. So what I use for my cream contour is I like to use some kind of either darker foundation or darker concealer that blends out nicely, but that doesn't blend away completely. And what I found is actually really good for it is the LA Girl Pro Conceal, but you can use anything that you like. I'm using the color Toast. It's warm and reddish, but because it's a cream and I'm going to be putting powders and stuff on top of it, it's going to look a little bit more natural. And I like that it has that little brush tip that I can precisely apply. So I'm going to apply it kind of the same. Obviously, it's the same idea in terms of placement and shape as we did with the powder, except that it's going on in a line and I'm going to blend it out. So I'm going to start back here, again, just above. This is where my jaw opens, and that's where my cheekbone starts. I'm going to start slightly above it, like that, and then bring it into the hollow. And you see that I've rounded it. It's kind of, instead of going straight down, I've scooped it, like that. And then I'm also going to take it across the temple. And again, I cover up that part of my cheekbone because I want to create an idea of roundness. If you don't have that roundness in your face, if you have that roundness in your face already, you can go ahead and go straight if you want to kind of balance that out a little bit. And I'm also going to take it in the same areas that I put the powder contour. So I start with that first. This does set up a little bit faster, so you want to work in sections as opposed to doing it all over your face. And I'm going to use my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush to do this. You could also use a buffing brush like this. You could use the one by Sigma. You know, I find that it works better with a brush than it does with a beauty blender. It's personal preference. And again, I have on my foundation and I haven't powdered it yet, so the foundation is quite emollient still underneath it. You don't want to use a foundation that sets up or dries down to a matte finish or a powder finish. You want something that's going to remain creamy underneath so that you can blend. If you try to put cream products on top of something that has been powdered or that sets into a powder finish, you're going to run into problems. So to start blending, I'm literally just going to tap this brush over the areas and work it backwards into my hairline. And I'm kind of buffing it here. Kind of just working it over the line that it is. I'm not blending it up or down at all just yet. And then I'm going to start working it over the cheek. Again, I like to bring it up on the cheek as opposed to taking it downwards. You don't want to take it down onto the lower part of your jaw because you're going to start, it's going to look too low and it's going to drag your face down. Again, work it backwards into your hairline first. And of course, this is a little bit more of a warm contour as opposed to this one. But again, we're putting powders and stuff over it, and so that's going to tone down the warmness, or the warmth. Warmness isn't even a word. So you can see the colors are slightly different, but that's okay. You can use more of a neutral color too. Just choose something that you know is going to work for your complexion. Stick with the same undertones if you can't find neutral. Again, across the jaw. I'm going to blend down. So again, I do not want to bring it above there. You can wipe your brush off as you go. You can also add a little bit more foundation if you need to blend it out some more. You also want to, most people have a little bit of a lightness right here by the ear. I do. So I tend to just take it over that because I don't like to see that separation. It looks like you have on a mask. And then go in and darken up any spots that you think you're darkening out. I could do a whole video, I guess, on the Kim Kardashian type of highlight where, like I said, you know, you paint the various colors on. You paint in the darker stripes and, you know, and then the lighter parts, and you don't actually have on foundation underneath or very, very little foundation underneath, and then you blend them together to create a nice blend, and that's a really, really dramatic, strong highlight contour type of deal. It's really not appropriate for everyday wear, unless you want to. I mean, hey, but it's definitely not a natural contour. If you want something that's more natural looking, you want to do either of these two, you know, techniques. Again, take it under there. And now you want to highlight, and again, you can highlight with concealers or whatever you want. You've seen me doing the whole concealer in a triangle this way. Again, I do that as a reverse contour type of deal because I don't usually do this kind of thing on myself, but I'll show you how it's done anyway. So I'm using my concealer, which is almost gone. Look at that. I have a backup. I bought another one. And you're trying to bring light into the face. This is the area that I would have put a lighter powder. Now, of course, you can do this and then put a lighter powder on top of it, and again, you're going to get a little bit of a stronger highlight. I keep it round, once again, just down the entire center of the face, basically, through the that. Also under here. And because you've used so little, there really shouldn't be much left in your brush, but again, you can wipe your brush off or spot clean it with brush cleaner. And then I'm just going to tap over that area again to blend out. Keeping it nice and round. I don't want to take this all the way back. And like I said, I don't contour my nose with contour color, but I do tend to highlight the tip of my nose or the bridge of my nose, and that kind of gives the idea of a contour. I do have a fairly sharp and straight nose again, so that's part of the reason why I don't like to contour my nose, but I'm not a fan of contouring noses anyway. It's just my thing. So you can see I've got a really nice highlighted cheek, and the reason I like this method a little bit more than this method is because it's a little bit more skin-like and natural looking. So that's the kind of thing you have going on. You can also do an even brighter highlight if you wanted to, using a neutral light, a brighter one. This is yellow. I could have done that on this cheek before I went in with the highlighting powders and stuff. I didn't. I'll just show you what this looks like if you do it. And the way that I use this is right here underneath the corner of my eye, because that's going to lift my eye up. I'll do it underneath my brow, just right along the very center parts of the face that I want highlighted. Like that. I don't tend to bring it here because if you go too light here, it also gives the illusion of being sunken, and it destroys that roundness that we've created. So again, I'm just going to tap this to blend it. I would usually do this before I do my brows, so I'm going to be careful that I don't destroy the actual brows that I put on. And now you want to set that with powder. So I'm going to use my regular face powder. Just using the Maybelline Dream Matte powder. I bought another one because I hit pan on the one that I had before. It's kind of almost all gone. So I'm just going to press that kind of all over. Then the last part of it would be to go in with a darker powder and set your contour again if you want it to be that much stronger. And just kind of over the darker parts of the face. And then the last step would be your blush. Of course, if you wanted to put on a cream blush, you'd put that on before you powder your face. I don't really use cream blushes at all. I like to put my blush on after I do my bronzer, just because I find if you put your blush on before, then it can start to get muddy. And there you have it. And so that's basically how you contour, either with cream products on this side or with powder products on this side. So I'm just going to show you how I would add a little bit of highlight, but there's nothing really special to this at all. You've seen me do it 100 times. Yeah, I'm just going to use my light apricot color from my Coastal Scents palette. This time though, just to make it a little bit different, I'm going to put it on with my finger. So I'm going to get it up on my finger and just kind of tap it where I want it. And then blend it in. It is summer, and I do love quite a highlighted, dewy skin during summer. If you don't, skip this part or use a brush for a little bit of a lighter application, I guess you could say. Work the same on the other side. The only difference I find is that because I'm putting it over more powder than cream, there's more cream on this side than there is on this side. So I tend to have to tap it on and push it into the skin a little bit more to make it kind of stay when I'm working on it. That is pretty much it. Now the reason I didn't set my cream highlight with a lighter powder is, again, it would start to get very dramatic looking. You could do if you wanted to, but this is kind of how I would do it for day if I was doing a contour for daytime. Nighttime or whatever, you can go a little bit more crazy and you can get a little bit more dramatic with it. Again, if you want me to do a video on the whole Kim Kardashian method with the very dark and light stripes and the, you know, when you look a little bit crazy, a little bit kind of like a zebra, then I can do that too if you want me to. But this is basically how I would do it, and I hope that was helpful. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Shh. Don't bang or slam or anything either, please. Hi everyone. Okay, so I am here today and I'm going to show you, of course I'm here today. What? Hi guys. Okay, so that was weird.